Hello and welcome back to Ray's Gaming and more Monster Hunter Wilds talk. Today it's time to talk Charge Blade in this newest version because I kind of fell in love with it during the beta. It seems that I'm not the only one either. We did a viewer poll to see what the most popular weapons from our community were after that beta, and it turns out Charge Blade has made it to the top 3. And I think it's easy to see why. Key changes have made the weapon much more approachable. The update to vials, halving the cost in the new Power Axe mode. It means the Power Axe chainsaw style combos are extremely efficient and effective. First, you'll just need to charge the shield, which has this new super easy way to do that on top of the originals. Second, you're going to need to achieve Power Axe mode, which has 4 ways you could possibly do that, compared to say behind one specific combo or something like that. And now you're ready to go to town with this new amped follow-up attack combo that exists. Perfect guarding is also rewarded even more, and there's more guard points in the kit on top. So it feels better, you have more options, more ways to reach what you want, but is it perfect? Well, old-time Charge Blade fans do have some valid feedback and issues with it, so let's talk about it all, starting with that new kit. Alright, so let's jump into the guide section. Obviously, this is going to assume that you understand the basics of the weapon, so when I talk about vials, I'm going to assume you know what they are and also you know how to charge them. For example, let's start with the new Vial System, because yes, it's changed in multiple ways. So there are a lot of ways to build your vials as before, whatever basic attacks you want to use, but the best and most efficient way to charge vials is by doing the charged rising slash, which is like a double hit. The problem with that is obviously then it leads into other stuff, like you want to avoid sliding around when you're trying to charge as fast as possible. So all you want to do is do 2 of these in a row. You can interrupt that with an evade and then do a second one. Or if you just want to be, the maximum efficient, maximum damage, go for a shield thrust between the 2. In any case, once you're red, you can put them in your shield and that's good to go. But now we can overcharge those vials, and that's the first thing I want to talk about. So let's do 2 of these rising slashes to reach red. As you can see, this is going to overcharge them, giving them this new symbol, like a little crowned star thing. Overcharged vials literally increase the damage of your amped damage. So all the procs that you're getting during Savage Axe mode and spending vials on that's going to be increased damage, as well as element discharge and even super amped element discharge. However, the ratios are very different for some reason. You're getting about a 40% damage increase for the damage of the axe amped use. Meanwhile, super element discharge, the damage increase from that is significantly less. So you're using twice as many vials to deal about 40% more damage generally, or even less for super amp. Is that really worth the effort of charging the vials twice? Well, based on what I've been watching, my own experience in speedrunning, no, it's not something that's really being done. However, how I view it is that if you've got these overcharged vials potential, maybe you accidentally got like 1 or 2 overcharged vials, there's nothing wrong with that. It's still a benefit. It just kind of cleans up the inefficiency a little bit, giving you a bit of a reward. However, the thing is, if you use these vials, these overcharged vials, to store power into the shield to charge it, which by the way, there's a new way to do that, which is this, you actually increase how long this shield charge lasts. With normal vials, this shield charge is going to last you about 2 minutes, but with full overcharged vials, it's going to be well over 3 minutes. So each one is adding like 10 to 15 seconds. So in those like inefficient moments when you accidentally have overcharged vials, I recommend putting it into your shield to make this charge last a lot longer. That way we don't have to worry about it and we can just get into Power Axe and start spamming the chainsaw. So you're charging your vials by using the double slash combo, probably shield thrush, and then again double slash. The new way that you can charge your shield then is by simply holding block and then pressing circle to prepare a charge. Now there's 2 things you can do here. As before, you could put your sword in there to charge your sword, but instead you can hold circle or like a heavy attack, and that instead does this, which as I showed is the new way to charge your shield, and is really effective because that little block is indeed a guard point. So you can use it defensively mid-fight while also effectively using your vials and charging up your shield. But obviously you can still charge your shield in the old way by going into like an amped and then cancelling it. That works perfectly fine too. Now the meta of this weapon has changed it with Sim and Wilds. They really want you to use Power Axe mode, which is essentially the chainsaw version of Savage Axe. To make this less confusing, this is Axe mode, and a lot of people refer to this as Savage Axe mode. But it is not powered up right now because it's not in Power Axe mode. So how do we get to Power Axe mode? Well, there's 4 ways. The most reliable one is to simply land a guard, a perfect guard, right as you're about to be hit. So you just basically block right as you're about to be hit, and then you can follow that up in response in multiple ways. Hell, you could go into a super amped element discharge. But what we want to do is simply press triangle or light attack to transform into Savage Axe mode, and that will also trigger Power Axe mode. This is most reliable because there's no cooldown on just landing a guard on a monster you're fighting, and you could use like the old barrel bomb self-explosion perfect guard trick too. The alternative to that is the new focus mode attack, Focus Strike. It's a double slash which when used on a wound transforms the weapon into the Power Axe saw blade, and you can do it whatever mode you're in. If that's sword or axe, it doesn't matter. Then you're stuck in this animation where you're watching the chainsaw come out, and I recommend aiming that with focus mode to properly land against the target, ideally at a good weak point. Focus mode in general for Charge Blade is absolutely insane, by the way, because there's lots of internal cooldowns or animation locks during this weapon's use. And so taking the time where you're not doing anything anyway to just hold the left trigger or focus mode in general and aim so you're accurately hitting the weak point or whatever it is you want to hit, it's just such a benefit for a weapon that has these kind of animation locks. Anyway, so that's two ways to enter Power Axe mode. The other two would be to trigger a clash. So right as you're about to get hit, you'll guard, and that might trigger a clash. And again, once that's done, just press triangle and you'll enter the Power Axe mode. The other one, the last one, the easiest, is the mount finisher. Yeah, just enter a mount and eventually use your weapon attack. You'll do a new weapon finisher, and in the end, that will trigger Power Axe as well. So there's 4 ways, and that is what's so nice about this new version of Charge Blade. There are many ways to achieve the same result, and I think that's a really nice way to make the weapon easier to learn and play. But what is Power Axe mode? Well, basically, you have these special saw blade attacks, and for a full 2 minutes, you have half cost vials for all your Savage Axe attacks. So that includes amped element discharge. As you can see, I'm able to do these really long, effective combos, and I'm using half the vials to do it, so it lasts twice as long. However, there's a caveat here. Super amped element discharge doesn't benefit from this half vial effect. So yeah, it would seem that they want you to be using Power Axe mode to use Savage Axe attacks, maximizing the chainsaw, benefiting from the half cost vials by using classic Savage Axe combos, holding the button to activate the chainsaw, and ultimately only doing regular amped discharge rather than super. I think there's still going to be room for super amped element discharge. Like, I like it obviously as a wake up or say a finisher at the end of a combo that I think is going to kill the monster. There's still plenty of uses for it. Like, say you just landed a perfect guard or a guard point, you can just throw out a super amped instantly. That's satisfying and fun. But if we're talking maximum meta efficiency, max DPS, you should be making the most of your half cost vials and basically only using them on things that benefit from that, which is basically all the Savage Axe attacks except for super element discharge. So let's talk about super element discharge, because that has changed as well. You now need to combo it off of different things. It cannot just be done flat out. So let me just do, I don't know, any attack and get into an amped discharge, and then we'll follow that with a super element. So any attack, get into the amped discharge, and then I can follow it with super amped at that point. So I've got to get to that point where I'm already doing a regular amped to do the super. Alternative to that, as I said, you can perfect guard or guard point, and then instantly follow that up with a super amped element discharge. But you know, there is something new around that. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, set up for a super amped element discharge, but instead I'll do something different. So just a basic attack to get there, here's the amped, and instead of doing super element, I do the discharge follow-up, which as you can see is this new special axe spin, essentially delaying the SAED. Why would you want to do that? Well, because I'm saying the meta is probably not to use SAEDs so much anymore. So instead of doing the follow-up into an SAED, you do this new attack, which resets your combo, allowing you to go into standard Savage Axe attacks, making the most of your Power Axe mode and half file cost. So the best combo to do while you're in Savage Axe is simply by doing element discharge 1 and 2, and then 3 to go into the element discharge, then do the new follow-up, and then instead of going into SAD, you just reset the combo very smoothly, like so. In many cases, you'll find an opportunity to attack a monster, and then immediately just amped element discharge, and then we go into that new follow-up, and then that resets us into the start of the combo. So mostly it's just a lot of pressing circle or, heavy attacks, and that is really easy to do. The only caveat here is that when you're in Power Axe mode, you need to hold the button to make sure the saw blade actually works. The best way I've found to do that is by pressing the button to trigger the attack, and then now the attack is flying, I simply hold the button down again, and that causes the chainsaw effect. Then every input after that, I just press and hold. Whatever works for you and feels comfortable, you'll find, but you have to hold the button to hold the axe attack, and that's getting the most value of the attack because it's the chainsaw. So your general game plan and best options. Well, you're going to achieve Power Axe with the shield charged as soon as possible. That's the core of all of it. Vials will often be generated using the double slash combo, and Power Axe most often through perfect guards and focus mode special attacks too. With that, you'll have your shield charge, your Power Axe active, alongside 5 vials stored to be used for the Power Axe combos. If you're going to do a short punish, I do consider going for an element discharge from nothing into however many Power Axe combos feel safe in that moment. If not, basic Power Axe single hits while you're fishing for a safe time to combo are fine too. And doing small combos to wait for an opening, remember to transform back to shield for the guard point, or perfect guarding if you need the time. But as discussed, we will achieve Power Axe mode through wounds or perfect guards most often, so guard points are a lot rarer even though there's new options. I also want to highlight the moving forward triangle attack when in Savage Axe mode. That is great for gap closing, moving and dealing damage at the same time while you're currently in Axe. There's also a very vertical combo when you start to just spam the triangles. That can be very handy based on the target. Overall though, we are going to be repeating the circle combo in full more than anything. It has up to 3 parts, which then leads into the amped discharge, which then goes into the new follow-up attack, and then you could go into super amped, or not even do the follow-up and go into SAED. But since that's going to spend all your vials, it's just better to revert back to the start of the Savage Axe combo and kind of ignore it. Like I said before, I only really use super amped now for a wake-up hit or to punish a monster that's about to leave anyway. So I do hope there's some rebalance for super amped at launch, because I think it feels too weak compared to, say, the Power Axe combos. Now, as much as charging your sword is a nice concept as well, it's seemingly not worth the effort in maximized gameplay. Since our main damage is going to be in Power Axe, so we want to be in Axe mode. You're not really in Sword and Shield nearly as much, so charging the sword has nothing to do with that. But to really peel back the core loop of the weapon, you're going to build vials, charge the shield, have some to use during Axe mode, and then just stay in Power Axe and chainsaw spam as much and as often as you can. Everything around that just kind of gets you there or helps you maximize that. On the topic of an opener then, I wasn't able to get this perfectly myself, but basically you're going to look to sneak attack, then hold circle for a double slash for a fast charge red vial. Then you can store those vials, and then go for a perfect guard on the raw to activate Power Axe mode. We'll go back to the shield since we still need to charge the shield, and so we'll build red vial with the double slash combos, store those vials, and now we're ready to get back into Power Axe mode. From there, we spend the vials on Power Axe basics on the head, element discharge when possible, and when knocked down, we do the maximized circle spam Power Axe punish, repeating that as much as we can. But that brings me to the conclusion for this weapon, and my take on this Wilds version. Overall, I love it. I think it feels and looks especially incredible. Focus mode aiming for a weapon like this is super impactful, because it really changes how it feels to play and the ease of the aiming. The power behind Power Axe and chainsawing the monster though is also fantastic. But like I said, there are some concerns and bits of feedback that I'd like to give, so let's quickly cover those. First, the new overcharged vials. It's a really cool concept, but in my opinion it needs more value. 40% increased damage isn't worth the time. And the fact that SAED gets like half of that 40% for some reason. So the overcharged vials are really only used to get more shield charge time, to be kind of useful when maybe you accidentally created them. On that note, SAED. It feels undervalued and underloved in this version. Half cost Power Axe vials means it's way more damage per vial to use them overall on Power Axe. SAED has a lot less purpose besides, say, wake up, or if you're just out of time, the monster's going to move away, you might as well. So I would like to see SAED maybe getting a big buff from overcharged vials. That could be a solution, or something to make it actually better. And the main combo of Power Axe mode is to literally just spam circle over and over while holding it down to activate the saw whenever. This is very easy and approachable, but a lot simpler than I'm used to in regards to Charge Blade. Is that bad? Well, for newer Charge players, absolutely not, it's amazing. But for maybe long-term Charge Blade players, maybe it's a bit tame. Things like the guard points are awesome, sword and shield mode and its options are super cool, say the mobility of the shield slide, the entire aspect of charging the sword, SAED in general. These are all really overshadowed by Power Axe and also just perfect guarding and how effective these things are. So I would like to see a bit more love at launch for the other sides of the weapon to make it more varied again. Having said all of that, I am really enjoying this version as an approachable, rewarding version of Charge Blade. I plan to play the hell out of it at launch. This just means that there are things I think could make the weapon even better to play, long term in particular. It's very popular in this version for a reason though, so obviously they've done a good job. But just like everything, there's always room to improve, and I do hope that all the weapons get some changes after the beta. since that's what part of a beta is meant to be, testing stuff and then making it better at launch. For now though, that's most of what I wanted to say. Let me know what you guys are thinking about Chargeblade in Wilds. Until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.